Hello and welcome to Phase 2, Module 3. This is the last module in this phase, and we will be discussing scenario frameworks and how to build scenarios. Now in this module, you'll begin constructing narratives or scenarios about the future based on the questions you created from the previous module. But before we begin, let's briefly discuss the purpose, uses, and advantages of scenario building. The purpose of scenario building is to explore new ways of thinking about the future and how to apply the insights gained in this process to your present-day strategy. It is not about predicting the future. The uses of scenario building include, but are not limited to, helping you make better, more informed decisions about the future in the present. The practice of scenario building gives you the ability to put all the information that you uncovered into a plausible and relevant narrative for the future of your industry and organization, helping to ensure your adaptability to sudden shifts in the market and your resilience in the face of unexpected events. The end result gives you and your organization a significant competitive advantage. Now, it's important to point out that scenario building and scenario planning are two different things. Scenario building is a process of constructing a framework by which a scenario or narrative can then be created. Scenario planning is the action that you and your organization take to ensure your success in each alternative future. Now, it's also important to point out that there are several ways to build, plan, and implement scenarios. Scenario building, planning, and implementation are also typically done over several weeks with a team of individuals throughout the organization. Now, which direction an organization chooses to go is heavily dependent on its objective for the project at hand. Now, the reason I point this out is because the type of scenario work we'll be doing in this program is far less extensive than the work done by Royal Dutch Shell or the U.S. military, which we talked about early on in this program. What we are doing is what I like to refer to as a micro-scenario. We are laying the foundation to build strategic competency around the construction of a framework for alternative future outcomes. So let's briefly discuss the assignment that you have in this module. In this assignment, you will build on the previous module's will-or questions to create 4 future scenario frameworks. These scenario frameworks will examine the obstacles and opportunities for your industry if each of your questions were to occur. Now, your role in this assignment is that of a future historian. You have been commissioned to write about a particular event that radically changed your industry. But before you can do that, you must create your framework. It is your job to provide the context for each scenario. Be sure to give each scenario framework a title that captures the essence of that future reality. Here are a few things to keep in mind as you're building your future scenario framework. The framework for each scenario that you are about to create should present a very different future outcome. Also remember to incorporate other implications that you discovered throughout this process into your scenario framework. Now, although the future may not look exactly like any one particular scenario, it is likely that the future will share several components found in each of the narratives that you construct. In order to help you do this successfully and not waste any extra time, I've included a 5-step process to scenario framework building. Step 1, you want to answer the question, what happened and when? Start by choosing a time frame that sets the stage for your scenario and fits with your chosen title. Step 2, you want to ask the question, how did it happen and why? What steep elements were present beforehand that played a key part in bringing this scenario to fruition? What indicators were present beforehand that, if addressed, could have prevented this scenario from taking place? Step 3, you want to answer the question, who wins, who loses? Which segment of the population, age demographic, industry sector, etc., came out ahead and which have suffered significant setbacks? Step 4, you want to answer the question, what did they do or not do? What specific action did or didn't those who thrived in this scenario take to ensure their success? And step 5, where are they now? Where are both groups now? Are they thriving, suffering, or evolving? And why? On page 44 of your workbook, I've included my own example of how to use the 5-step scenario framework process to help you construct future narratives. The image you see on your screen is taken directly from that example in the workbook. Now, I'm only showing step 1 and step 2, but this gives you an idea of the layout. As you'll notice in the top, the will or question is from our will or question in the work that we've done in the previous modules. Below is the scenario title and date. The world is watching is the title of the scenario, and the date is set August 15th, 2035. And just to be clear, you're writing about your future scenarios as if they have already happened. For part 2 of this assignment, you will choose one of your scenario frameworks and write a full-page story, approximately 200 to 250 words, from the perspective of a future historian. Additional instructions for this assignment can be found on page 42 in your digital workbook.